This wedding was an assignment for my Religion 2 class in Catholic school.
This one's wife. I'm successful. No, really, I am. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Is this one's wife successful? Well, when viewed in terms of her narcissistic aims, i.e. the prime aims, she always gets control one way or the other. Sometimes directly, sometimes indirectly, often through withdrawal. So her narcissism is successful in that respect. She draws plenty of fuel. She gets oodles of it from Harry. She will get it from her mother. She will get it from non-intimate secondary source friends and employees. She'll receive it from those that criticise her. She'll receive it from the sugars that support her. So she's successful in maintaining pretty high levels of fuel. She has garnered lots of character trait acquisition throughout her lifetime, and it can't be said that she hasn't done badly with relation to residual benefits, since she has become a wealthy woman. Whether she stays in that position remains to be seen. So her narcissism has been successful in that regard. Of course, she hasn't been successful in the sense of actually creating anything meaningful. She hasn't been successful in making many people like her. Indeed, it's quite the contrary. More and more people dislike her. She hasn't been successful in maintaining good familial relationships. She hasn't been successful in maintaining good romantic relationships. She hasn't been successful in maintaining good social relationships. Regularly, people are referred to as having been ghosted by her. Those are all aspects which are not uncommon when it comes to the narcissist. This is because it works like this. The narcissism is only concerned with control, fuel, character traits and residual benefits. Everything else can go hang. And with this one's wife, much of that means that she is nowhere near as successful as she would like you to think that she is. The presentation of success is part of her facade management. She has numerous facades. One is of being the loving wife, another facade is of being the doting mother, another facade is being the kind philanthropist, the other is being the empowered feminist, the other is being a fashion icon, and as a successful individual. She utilises these facades for the purposes of controlling and drawing fuel and accessing residual benefits. And one of the things that is important for her to attempt to do is keep those facades in place. Accordingly, as part of doing that, she needs to keep on telling us that she's successful. The problem with that is it's the usual she doth protest too much, whereby you end up thinking, if you have to keep telling us this, it probably means that you're not. As Margaret Thatcher once memorably said, power is like being a lady. If you have to keep telling people that you are one, then you're not. And in the circumstances, this is just as applicable to this one's wife, who has to keep maintaining this facade of success, even though so many people can see through it. And she does so once again through the utilisation of one of the supine publications. Yes, it wouldn't be the end of another week if we hadn't heard from Hello in relation to them propping her up. This time, the poor individual locked in the dungeon is Matthew Moore, who leads with the headline, This One's Wife's Business Ventures Since Leaving Royal Family Explored. From best-selling book to podcast to lifestyle brand. Yes, the Duchess of Sussex is forging her own path since leaving the royal family. Well, she left 4 years ago, and here she is bringing up the past to remind us all of just how successful she is. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex surprised the world when they announced they would be leaving the royal family back in 2020. Although they received some money from Harry's father, the then Prince Charles, the couple were expected to forge their own path. And with their own charitable organisation, Netflix deals, and now a lifestyle brand from This One's Wife, the pair have certainly been doing so. This One's Wife has been more at the forefront, with the royal mum of two fronting an award-winning podcast and launching her aforementioned lifestyle brand. Right, okay, you've managed to mention it twice in 2 sentences, which will sell all manner of items, from shower gels to yoga mats and even jams and jellies. Read on for the lowdown on all This One's Wife's ventures. So we have Archewell, announced at the same time that Harry and This One's Wife officially stood down as members of the royal family. The non-profit organisation Archewell has been their main venture, which, in actual fact, is just a charitable organisation that has been set up for people to donate to it, which then This One's Wife can use as an expense vehicle, whilst at the same time using other people's money to donate to charities to make her look good. That's really talented. It explains that she stated, "We connected to this concept of the charitable organisation we hope to build one day, and it became the inspiration for our son's name. To do something of meaning, to do something that matters. Archewell is a name that combines an ancient word for strength and action, and another that evokes the deep resources we must each draw upon. We look forward to launching Archewell when the time is right," she once said, doling out yet more word salad. Nevertheless, it has had financial challenges. There was a substantial decrease in donations from 2022 to 2023. So Archewell, whilst successful as an expense vehicle for her, you wouldn't say it's done anywhere near that which it was intended, and instead has been suffering a considerable drop in donations. Next up, there's a Netflix deal that they tell us about. But of course, of that, the 2022 docuseries Harry and This One's Wife did break records, much of it through grudge watching, which of course Hello doesn't mention. They also mentioned Live to Lead and Heart of Invictus, which didn't really do anything at all. And of course there's the obligatory nod to the forthcoming programmes about polo and celebrating the joys of cooking and gardening, entertaining and friendship. Well, they certainly got paid quite a bit of money, not all of it in relation to Netflix, but you wouldn't call it a resounding success. But This One's Wife has to make it sound like it is one. Hilariously, Hello includes The Bench. In 2021, the Duchess of Sussex wrote her own children's book, The Bench. This One's Wife wrote the text and narrated the audiobook, while the watercolour pictures were illustrated by Charles Robinson. The Bench was somewhat inspired by This One's Wife's relationships with Harry and their son, Prince Archie, and it examines a father-son bond told through the eyes of a mother. Well, of course, it all has to be about This One's Wife, although it got mixed reviews, and it certainly isn't something for children. Then we have Archetypes, where to decide that that amounts to a success is hilarious. It took her 2 years to create. It was absolute dross. She didn't do most of the work, and it was not renewed rather. So accordingly, to try and suggest that that amounts to success shows another level of delusion. Next up, they bring Clever and Ethic. Two of This One's Wife's lesser highlighted projects are her investments in 2 companies that hold special places in her heart: coffee brand Clever and financial services company Ethic. Clever, of course, has faced its own concerns in relation to some of the ingredients that have been utilised, and of course she appeared in an ad for a company where she failed to perform a high five, making herself look like a complete doofus at the same time. Nothing has been said about Ethic. It sounded fancy at the time, but they haven't done anything more in relation to that. So again, to suggest that Clever and Ethic have amounted to successes is really taking the concept to its most elastic. And then along comes American Riviera Orchard Retirement Homes. This is a brand which has no products, that has just been seen in relation to the promotion of jam, has a landing site, and has been roundly ridiculed for its ridiculous name, which seems like it's been generated by AI. And yet, here is Hello, engaging in its slavish devotion to This One's Wife, trying to herald all of these things as successes. Archewell, Netflix, The Bench, Archetypes, Clever and Ethic, and American Riviera Orchard. It's as if This One's Wife has been stung by the recent criticism of her shitty lifestyle brand, resulting in her issuing a diktat to the PR people to get in touch with Hello and say, "Tell everybody about all of the successes that I have enjoyed. Make sure everybody knows about that." And once again, it's an attempt by her to nullify the threat to control posed by people criticising her complete lack of talent and the fact that she's an abject loser. Utterly transparent and the knee-jerk reaction of an unaware narcissist. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.